So today we're going to learn our scratch spin a little better, and a lot of people struggle with spins because they do not really have the foundation of their spin set up, in my opinion. So we're just going to go to a quick basic really quick and make sure our 2-foot spin and our 1-foot spin is correct. And then when we start working on our scratch spin, we'll make sure we do each part correctly, because when you break it down into little sections and make those sections better, when we put it all together, it's a lot easier to manage and you'll have a technically correct spin. So first off is some common mistakes people make are when they go into their scratch spin, they don't do the 3 parts. So I'm going to do a scratch spin correctly from a standstill, and you're going to see I'm going to make 3 parts. So it's going to be like the beginning, the middle, and then the rotation part. So I'm going to start with my left arm in front in a T position. T position. My left arm is going to be in front. I'm going to make sure I bend my knees. I push into the center, and I wait. And then I check out. So you saw the 3 parts. Now, the other thing is you see my spin got to my center, and that is what people struggle with the most, is they struggle getting to that center part, and that is extremely important for your spin. So if you don't have that, the spins are going to be very inconsistent and all over the place. So I like to start with making sure our foundation is correct. So always have your left arm in front. If you're a righty skater, if you're a lefty skater, your right hand's going to be in front. You can bend it a little bit or straight, doesn't really matter, as long as it doesn't push and go past you before you start spinning. That is when it gets really crazy. So we're going to start with a 2-foot spin from a pump. So we're going to pump, then go into our 2-foot spin, and then check out. So you want to consistently make sure that when you start in your T position, that you're here and that you can pump and get to your center point right here. So it's literally right where you started from. A lot of mistakes happens because people, they start their spin, they go to step, and then somehow they end up over here. They start spinning too early, and then it's going to be very difficult to spin. So then we're going to make sure we do a 1-foot spin from that same pump. So we're going to pump into our 1-foot spin and then check out, and making sure that's really strong. And then I like to start with, then after we get those 2 steps, making sure we can do the same thing, but from pushing into our 1-foot spin. So without the pump. And then we will go to just holding the first part of the spin. So we have the first part, which is this like open position right here. All right, so that open position is super important, and most people just completely skip it and they'll do this. So they'll be here, and then they'll go, and then everything drops around. And then when you add that on top of not centering the spin, so it'll probably look something like this, and then it travels all over the place, and very out of control, very 50-50. Sometimes they might hit it, and that's a lot of times just a little bit of luck that it's somehow balanced correctly, or they practice it wrong so many times that they end up perfecting the wrong way, and that's something you absolutely don't want to do. So you want to make sure you learn it right from the beginning. So we're going to do that again. So we're going to practice going into the spin and forming this open position. All right, if you can get that down, the rest of it will be much easier. So then we're going to go to the second part, which is this like barrel position. Some people think you pretend you're hugging a tree or something like that, but you have to think of like a barrel, like you're trying to wrap around something, and you have to be over your side. You can't be pulling back like this or going to the heel, because the other thing is when you spin on the ball of your foot. So a lot of times the skaters are doing all these stuff and they're still not hitting the spin. It's because they're putting their weight and spinning on the wrong part of the blade. So I'm going to go to the second part now. I'm going to push, hit that open position, and then pull into my second position. Okay? And then once you have that, it'll be easy to go down to the third position, which is from here. You're going to pull in, and you want to feel like you're pulling and lengthening your body up through your spine without going backwards on the heel. So you want to keep standing up taller, 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 taller in your skates, pushing on the ball of the heel, but not going too far back. So I'm going to do the whole thing now again. My left arm in front, I bend, I push, hit this open position, hit this second position, all the way down, and then I check out. So the main thing is you have to practice all of those basics and all of those positions to hit a very consistent spin. I'm going to show really quickly the mistakes that a lot of people make. So like I said from the beginning, they end up pushing out over here somewhere and spinning, and they don't constantly come back to the center. The other good thing about starting from standstill is that when you're in a standstill position, it really mimics the correct push, so that when you start doing it from a wind up, you have a consistent step in, because that is from what you're basically doing from a standstill. So if I do my wind up right here, I can mimic the same spin that I just have been practicing on the line. I have just now added the wind up. So it really does translate the best. So yeah, I think that is a really good start, and I hope this helps your scratch spin, and keep practicing.